Hello students, welcome to SuperKalam. I am your mentor Madhur. I have the experience of giving two civil services interviews and my optional was PSIR. Now before delving into today's class, I want to first spend a few minutes around the initiative of which you all are part now. So this initiative which we have started, it is SuperStart with NCERT. Now everybody knows that NCERTs are very important components of civil services preparation, right? So therefore what we will do in this segment, in this series, we will cover NCERTs, the basic NCERTs of few important subjects like polity, science, history, even geography, and all other subjects. I will predominantly start with polity from today. And you know why this initiative is important? This initiative is important because of two very fundamental reasons. Why? One is NCERT shape the foundation of your preparation. You know, when we make any building, we have to ensure that its foundation is strong. And these NCERTs work in that way. They clear your conceptual understanding in a very, very lucid language. And the second reason is many PYQs, it has been seen that many PYQs have directly been asked from NCERTs. And I'll show that to you when I'll start the class. So that's why it's become very important. How we will cover? Let me show you how we will cover. So this is the portal which we have made for you. Here we will introduce all the classes as well as the MCQs and other test series in order to check your understanding. Although these videos which I am giving and all other teachers will be giving to you, they will be available on YouTube, but they can be also be available here. Here you will have an additional benefit of doing MCQs. You will be able to test that knowledge which you are learning from us. So it will be here, like for this particular class, in this particular section, Constitution why and how, it will be there. I'll not show you inside. I'll not deep dive here. That is a surprise for you, and you have to come here and you have to see it yourself. We will post links about it here, right? So without wasting further time, we will go into this chapter, into this series, with the first very important topic from polity, which is constitution as well as elections. So in this particular class, I will cover these two chapters: constitution why and how. The first very chapter, which is a very fundamental chapter, many questions have been asked from this. And the second is elections and representation. So we will cover these both topics with you today. So let's start with the first one: constitution why and how. So let's start with the first one: constitution why and how. So the first very fundamental question which comes into our mind is, what is constitution? Before even going into the function and the utility, first basic question is, what is constitution? So you try to define it yourself by knowing about our own constitution. So our constitution is a, what is our constitution? Is a book. Everybody knows about it. It's a book. It's a book, and it has lot of articles. And along with lot of articles, it has some certain rules and regulation about how the political system, the administrative system of the country will function. So if you have this basic understanding of our constitution, which is very, very basic, you need not to be a civil services aspirant for the same. So if you will have that understanding, you will be able to define constitution, which I have done it for you. I have taken this definition from NCERT itself. What does it say? Constitution is a compact or concise document which consists of a lot of articles about state, and which tells about how the state will be constituted, what will be the norms followed. So you know our constitution has this, how the state of India will be constituted. It will have center, it will have states, it will have UTs, and it will also tell what are their powers, how they will function. It also have norms. For example, there is a preamble, there's a thing called preamble, which I'll cover in further classes. It tells about norms like equality, liberty. These norms should be followed in India. So therefore To summarize, constitution is a compact document which consists of a lot of articles which tell how the state should be constituted and what norms should be followed. This is taken from NCERT. Now we will go further. We will understand the functions of constitution. These functions are the very basic things which are mentioned in the NCERT. I will cover that in detail. So first function is it provides basic rules for coordination in a society. Now you yourself think that if there will be no rules, then I will do anything, you will do anything, everyone will do their own things, no one will coordinate. So therefore these rules ensure that I abide by those rules, you abide by those rules. For instance, if I have a fundamental right of speech, I should respect your fundamental right of speech. It's not that I only have a fundamental right to speech and I can curb yours. So that's why these basic rules ensure that there is coordination in society. The next is it decides who has power to make rules in society. So the constitution has very clearly stated that parliament or the legislature will make rules. It has very clearly said that executive or the president will implement that rules, and it also talks about judiciary. Now these chapters will be covered in very detail in NCERT itself, so in further classes I'll take. The point which I am making is that parliament makes laws, and that is defined in the constitution defines who has the power to make laws. It also sets limit on the power of government. Now government cannot unilaterally put you in jail. Why? Because we have constitution. There is a thing called article 21 in the constitution which gives life of dignity. That comes from constitution, right? Similarly, it enables government to fulfill aspirations. Now there is one thing called directive principles of state policy which I will cover in next class. So these directive principles of state policy basically tell the government that the government should ensure that there is nutritious food, there is good nutrition level of children, that women are given maternity leaves, that there is a livelihood opportunity, there is uniform civil code, there is agricultural development. So these PSPs basically align the government that you have to fulfill the aspirations of people, right? So this is the function, and I will show you as I promised in the starting that NCERTs are basically a complete package for PYQs. So I show that one PYQ was asked in 2023. So this is our basically SuperKalam's dashboard where you can for free you can come and attempt PYQs. I show the this PYQ from 2023 from polity. This question came, yes, the very first, which says which one of the following statements best reflect the chief purpose of constitution. So the thing which I just now taught you. So the first option is it determines the objective for making the necessary laws. No, I did not say anything about objective. It enables the creation of political offices in a government. Yes, it does enable, but the question, if you see, is asking best reflects. It defines and limits the power of the government. Now this is the most important and the best reflection of constitution. Why? Because if there will be no constitution, the government can do anything. There will be no limits on the power of the of government. That's why this becomes very important point. And the last, it serves social justice, social equality, and social security. This is also not the best function of constitution. So the best answer here is C, right? So if I put C, see, it's right, and I'll get explanation also about it. And you will even get how many of people, students, they marked A, B, C, so that you will know that what is your relative standing, right? So let's come back to our chapter. Next, we will see that okay, we understood the meaning of constitution, we understood the functions of constitution. Now Indian constitution making process we will study in short. This is given in NCERT. So to constitute our Indian constitution, a constituent assembly was made. Now, it consists of many leaders, many experts, lawyers, politicians of that time. They constituted, they organized themselves into a constituent assembly, and this constituent assembly was indirectly elected. This you understand. So earlier during British period, there were provinces, there were assembly in these provinces. So these members of these assemblies, these provinces, provincial assemblies, they elected the members of constituent assemblies. So that's why it's called indirectly elected, right? Once it was elected, then our forefathers, our leaders, they inside a constituent assembly, they basically established a deliberation principle. They discussed on a lot of issues. For instance, they discussed what type of government should be there, whether should be their president or prime minister. Then they discussed how judiciary should be appointed, whether judiciary should have independent existence or president should appoint judiciary. They even discussed in detail fundamental rights, what type of secularism should be in India, whether uniform civil code should be there in India or not. So uniform civil code is it's vastly in news these days. So these all were the discussion points, and after a thorough discussion, they decided the constitution which we today have. And there were some procedures also adopted. For example, they created very small committees. Like today also in parliament we have small committees. In the same way, they also created small committees. For example, our former prime minister Jawaharlal Nehru ji, he was heading one of these committee on union constitution. So whatever provisions the union government will have, whatever provisions our constitution will have for union government, they were shaped to a large extent by this committee headed by Jawaharlal Nehru. In the same way, there is very important drafting committee drafted, wrote this constitution. And I want to know from you, who was the chairperson of this drafting committee? You just tell me in the comments, right? Now next is objective resolutions by Jawaharlal Nehru ji. Now, what is objective resolution? I show this maybe through the relevant uh, page in NCERT. So, yes. So, I hope this you can see page number 20. So, these were the objective resolutions. So, basically, before the constitution making started, Jawaharlal Nehru ji gave these basic pointers, or we can say these basic essence, that how our constitution should be shaped. So I want you all to read it. It says that India should be independent, sovereign republic. It talked about sovereignty and independence of India. It talked about other things. For example, minorities, backward and tribal people should be safeguarded. And today's constitution have these provisions. It talked about territorial integrity. So I want you to read it, because there can be a potential question even from this. So now we have seen Constitution Assembly, we have seen the principles, the procedures, the objective resolution. Now, inheritance from national movement. Our constitution was not made in isolation. Our national movement had a wide impact on it. The very principle of deliberation. Why we adopted this principle of deliberation? Because in our freedom movement, we always focused on deliberation, discussion. That was the impact. Then in our national movement, there was this Karachi resolution. There was Karachi resolution of 1931, which talked about fundamental rights, and these were adopted in our constitution. So that was the impact of our national movement on our constitution, right? So now we will cover a very crucial component. Okay, our constitution was made, but our constitution adopted very some good things from other constitutions, and our constitution also keeps on changing. So these are the two very fundamental features of our constitution. It keeps on changing. That's why it's called living document, because it was relevant 75 years back, it is relevant today, and in future also it will be relevant, because we will keep on changing it, we will keep on evolving it. That's why it's living document. So how we change it? We change it through amendment. Parliament does amendment through which it is changed. And next is through judicial interpretation also we change. Judicial interpretation, for example, Article 21's judicial interpretation. So earlier Supreme Court said that Article 21 is just about dignity. Now Supreme Court even has said that good environment, good ecology is a part of Article 21. Supreme Court has said that good sleep, sound sleep is a part of Article 21. So Supreme Court has evolved the meaning of Article 21. That's why our constitution is living document, right? Now, second component is borrowed features. Now our constitution borrowed a lot of things. For example, it borrowed fundamental rights from USA's constitution. In USA, there is a very prominent focus on fundamental rights. We borrowed our parliamentary system. Parliamentary system means there are two houses of the parliament, and Lok Sabha, for example, and Rajya Sabha in case of India. And one is elected directly by people, and prime minister is basically selected from those elected people. So that is parliamentary system, in which parliament is key, and not the president. Parliament has a lawmaking power. I show you this from a page in NCERT. So this page you can see, it shows that from British constitution we adopted these things, from US constitution just I told you that fundamental rights we adopted, from French constitution we adopted these key terms: liberty, equality, fraternity. Now these were very popular during French Revolution, that's why these are part of French constitution, and we adopted them. Why? Because these are good things: liberty, equality, fraternity. That's why we adopted them. So you go through this page as well. It will help you in basically very factual questions in a prelims examination, right? So here we have discussed all about constitution. Just to summarize, what constitution is, what is the meaning of constitution, what are the functions of constitution. We discussed in brief the constitution making process, how our constitution was framed. There was constituent assembly, there were discussions, and on base of that we got our constitution. And then we talked about constitution's features, which is it is a living document. Why? Because it changes, it evolves, and it has borrowed features. Good features we have taken from other constitutions. So this is basically the first chapter, and I'll definitely give you a lot of MCQs to practice to test this knowledge, but also refer to NCERTs as and when you feel needed, right? So let's move to second, or rather third chapter, second in this PPT. Now we will cover the third module, the third chapter and second for this PPT. This is about elections. This chapter, election and representation. So before delving into further into this chapter, first we have to understand what are the bases, what are the types of electing a candidate. There are two very prominent. There are others also, but these are very prominent in India and worldwide also, which is first past the post, FPTP, and proportional representation, PR. Now how they are different? In first past the post, whosoever candidate gets maximum votes, he or she wins. For example, there are three candidates. One secures 15 votes, other secures 20 votes, and the third one secures 25 votes. Now he gets 25 votes and they both together get 35 votes. But he wins. Why? Because he has secured maximum votes in respect to other two individually, right? So that's why in this type of system there is one winner only. And this is followed in Lok Sabha election. Even in Vidhan Sabha election, this is followed in India. Other system is proportional representation. Now what happens in proportional representation? In proportion of votes, the seats are allotted. For example, if a candidate secures, or if a party rather secures 40% votes, the party will get 40% seats. If a party gets 5% votes, it get 5% seats. This is proportional representation. It is like this pizza, which is shown on the right side. In first past the post, whosoever secures maximum will get whole pizza. But in proportional representation, whatever proportion of votes you will get that proportion of pizza. Suppose you get 20% vote, you will get 20% of pizza. You get 40% votes, you get 40% of pizza. So this is a way of understanding. Proportional representation in India can be seen in Rajya Sabha elections, that you should know. Now, there's one illustration, very beautiful illustration which is given in NCERT to better understand this. I'll show you. So this is a very beautiful illustration which is given in your NCERT. See, this is basically the real result of Lok Sabha election, the Lok Sabha election of 1984. Now at that time there were around 543 seats, and the results were declared in those seats. Now you can see Congress party, it got 48% vote, but the number of seats, it got 80% seats. That is because of first past the post. If there was, suppose for instance, proportional representation, then Congress would have got less than 50% seats. That is less than 50%, so around 270 seats, or even less than that. Same goes with other parties. So that's the difference between first past the post and proportional representation, right? So let's continue our chapter. So the earlier slide was about the methods of electing a candidate. Now in India, we even have reservation of seats. This is given in your NCERT. We have few seats which are reserved. We have seats which are reserved for scheduled castes. There are 84 Lok Sabha seats, and in assemblies there is a different number. For scheduled tribes, there are 47 seats, Lok Sabha seats, which are reserved. Now this map on the right side, you can see this yellow constituencies. What are constituencies? I know you must be having doubt. So let's first come to what is constituency. So constituency is basically an area. Every state, every union territory is divided into an area, a constituency, from which an MP or an MLA is elected. I'll again come to that. Before that, I was telling about reserved seats. Some of the constituencies are reserved. This yellow one is reserved for scheduled castes. This is a Kutch, the constituency of Kutch, if you must be knowing. Then there are few which are reserved for scheduled tribes. For example, this is whole of Mizoram is one seat, and it is reserved for scheduled tribes. This is Outer Manipur. This is also reserved for scheduled tribes. Right. So this is the reserved seats. Now what happens at reserved seat? Only members from that particular caste can stand. For example, from Kutch seat, only a scheduled caste can stand, and from Mizoram, only a scheduled tribe person can stand. Everyone will vote. A general candidate will also vote. A scheduled tribe, a scheduled caste, a OBC. Everyone will vote, but the candidate who will ultimately be elected will be from a particular reserved category. This is the reservation of seats. Now, this is there in Lok Sabha and state assemblies, as I already told you. And this decision, that how many constituencies will be there in a state, what will be the shape, what will be the area of the constituency, which constituency will be reserved or not, which constituency will be reserved for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and even now there is a women reservation which is coming up. It is not yet implemented, but it will come up in future elections. So delimitation commission will even decide that which constituency will be solely for women. For example, maybe Leh, this is a Leh constituency. It can be reserved for women. Then there will be a woman who will be elected from this, right? So this all work is done by delimitation commission, right? And reservation of seats, I already told you. Now all this is happening. Elections are happening. Methods I discussed. I discussed about a delimitation reserve. Now who does this? This is done by Election Commission of India. It is a very important body, constitutional body. Why I say constitutional body? Because its organization, its establishment, it is done by Constitution itself. Now, Constitution in Article 324 says that superintendence, direction, control of elections to Lok Sabha, assemblies, president, vice president, it has to be done by Election Commission of India. It is a body, independent body, which basically organizes elections. Now, this organization of election has a lot of parts to it. It is not just conducting election. There are a lot of preparations which are done. For instance, preparation of voter list. So, election commission prepares the voter list. Now, there is a recent news which is coming up. This is how you connect basically NCERTs with current affairs. There's a recent talks, not just talks, even started also. Election Commission is basically updating, revising the electoral rolls, the voting list in Bihar. The Bihar elections are coming up in November. So this is basically the first task, which is preparation of voter list. Then it schedule election. There's a press conference which Election Commission does, and it organizes. It basically tells the schedule of election. It enforce model code of conduct. Now, what is this model code of conduct? Now, see, to ensure that free and fair elections are done, it is very much important that there are some set of do's and don'ts for everyone. For example, for government, for existing MPs and MLAs, they should not use government machinery for campaigning. In the same way, for everyone, they should not involve in hate speech. They should not ask votes in the name of caste. So these are do's and don'ts which make model code of conduct, and Election Commission enforces it. Then Election Commission also orders repoll. For example, in some polling booth, there is some fishy thing happening. Election Commission of India came to know about it. Then it can cancel the polling and it can order repoll. It also allots symbol to parties. It allots symbol, for example, lotus flower to BJP. There is this hand sign for Congress. So these all are allotted by Election Commission of India. So this is the wide function of Election Commission of India which is there. Now there are some issues also with respect to elections. Now this issue which I will discuss now are very dynamic in nature. Now this you have to connect with current affairs. So there are few issues. In later classes, I will take them in detail also, but I'll briefly tell about them. There's an issue with respect to EVM and VVPAT. So a lot of opposition parties, they are basically there is an allegation of disruption with respect to EVM and all. So that's an issue going on. There is an issue of model code of conduct. Now, many experts say that Election Commission of India shows biasness. So if it shows biasness, these are allegations. Then how model code of conduct can be enforced? Then there is a talk of one nation, one election going on. Even in 2024 mains question, this concept came in. There is a concept of online voting which has been discussed, and there are many more things which are coming up. So I want you all to basically make a list of these reforms, these discussions, and share with us so that you can connect this election chapter with your dynamic part, with your news part. So now we will see one more question PYQ from we can see from election. So I'll select all here Indian polity, election, and I can also type. Let me see rules related to elections, results of previous general election, system of election. I'll choose all those, and you will find this. Just now I told you about a women reservation. Now there is this question on women reservation. This came in 2024. Consider the following regarding Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam. This was basically the provision will come into effect from 18th Lok Sabha. 18th Lok Sabha is already there. It has not been enforced. This will be enforced for 15 years after becoming the act. Let's see. There are provisions for reservation of seats for scheduled caste women within the quota reserved for scheduled caste. Right. So first one is wrong. That's why in option, first option cannot be there. Now sometimes there is this trick which works. Now which of the following is correct? One cannot be there. 2 cannot, B cannot be there, D cannot be there. Why? Because only one is there. Like option 1 is false. That's why. So therefore, what option will be correct? C. You can see the explanation as well, right? So this is how you can make use of knowledge. See, NCRTs, only reading NCRTs doesn't work. You have to practice also. I'll share. So this is the end of the class, and I'll share a lot of questions with you. In this link in the description box, there will be a lot of questions. There will be link to questions. I'll share them with you. I want that you all attempt that questions so that you can test your knowledge, right? So this is my class, this is it. You can also share your feedback, you can write about it, you can share what you want, and we will continue these classes. Tomorrow we will have a class for different subject, and see you there. Okay, thank you.